Hi, my name is Leo and I'm going to talk about being a queer stand-up comedian in Armenia.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm a trans guy who makes videos about LGBTQIA+ people where they get to talk about anything that they want that somehow relates to them being queer. I recently went on a trip around Armenia, Georgia and Azerbaijan, and in Yerevan, Armenia, I had the privilege of meeting up with the drag family House of Dragon, which Leo is the mother of. But today we're not going to talk about Leo's drag, but their stand-up comedy.
I am Leo, just Leo, like Madonna, because I'm a star. No. Sometimes like the bookers will want a last name. I just introduce as Vodkahouse, so Leo Vodkahouse, and I am a stand-up comedian in Armenia, Yerevan.
This is how Leo identifies.
I identify as just queer overall because it's just easier and politically more correct for me, because I don't really feel gender, or I don't despise it, and I respect the gender identity of other people, because a lot of people have to fight a lot to, for example, be like trans men or trans women. But for me personally, I don't kind of feel gender of my own. I don't care about the gender. I think it's just old and retired. I use any pronouns because in Armenian we don't have pronouns, so it's just na for everything. So therefore I never had the struggle of just using any pronouns. So just any pronoun, she, they, he, it, whatever.
Let's dive into their stand-up.
My stand-up is basically loud, in your face, provocative, very 18+, very adult content. It's details of my dating life, of sex, of a lot of fetishes. It's not to like provoke anyone, even though a lot of people think it is. It's just me kind of celebrating being sex positive and just having sex and talking about sex, especially in Armenia, because in our culture you don't talk about that. And sex is just something you use to procreate, and that's about it. And it's mostly just about men. A woman does not get any pleasure from it. It's just for children, and that's it. You know, in Armenia it's taboo to do cunnilingus. I guess that's the name, like eating out the vagina. So it's taboo in Armenia, men don't do it. Of course it's taboo sucking dick in Armenia unless, as they say, you're a prostitute. So the wife does not receive a head, does not give a head. So it's very like enclosed to just these people that really don't know how to have sex. And it's just sad. But through my stand-up, I just meet a lot of couples that after my stand-up go home and try some things, and then they tell me that they tried it. It's mostly, of course, you know, the cunnilingus, the blowjob or the butt stuff with the guy, and they say it was amazing. You opened our eyes, it was just great. Of course, I always tell them, like, I give a disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a sexologist. They are more than welcome to visit one. I just talk from my experience. I guess sometimes I just shame people into being more sex positive, because they were shamed into being sex negative, so now I shame them out of the closet.
It wasn't difficult for Leo to decide that this was the type of stand-up she wants to do.
Because when I started doing stand-up, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. All the comedians, they're straight, of course, but everyone has their minuses. They were talking about like their wives, about being married, about having girlfriends, about having a cat or a dog. And I was like, I can't do it. Like, I don't have a wife, obviously. Like, I need to talk and do the comedy about things that I know. So obviously it just came to me and I was like, what do I know the most? Like, my experience mostly is in sex. That's like how I got to get to know me, get to know the world, the queerness. So I was like, there you go, like sex it is. And I just started talking about it. And I knew I didn't want it to be like tiptoeing around the topic. I just wanted to go straight into it and just be like, so do we have people who have anal sex? And of course no one claps, and then I'm like, don't lie. I can see your rectums on the floor. And then people just open up, they open up because they feel comfortable that they can like share the experience with me. So it's like I had no other choice. I had to talk about stuff like that. And I give amazing tips from stage on how to douche.
So what's it like being a queer stand-up comedian in Armenia?
It's very lonely, of course. Before me there was another gay guy who was doing stand-up, but in a very different way. And I love him, but his stand-up was mostly what I've heard, because he doesn't do stand-up anymore. It was mostly just like packaged so that straight people won't feel uncomfortable. And for me, I was like, fuck no, like, fuck you. You have to feel uncomfortable, because I feel uncomfortable every day of my life, so it's now your turn. And he just stopped doing stand-up. I tried to talk him into coming back, but he has some issues and he doesn't want to, so I guess he burnt out. And I thought that I'm going to burn out as well, but it's been like 2 years now, and I'm still going. So it's lonely. It's like, it's just you talking about shit and surrounded with straight people. And I'm okay with straight people. My parents are straight. But still it's hard, and most of the time you just become the token queer comedian of the stand-up club that you're performing in. And the owners, even though they're like amazing people and I love them, but you become kind of their diversity hire, and during podcasts and interviews they're like, we have a queer comedian, wow, we're so progressive. And it's just like, yeah, but... And sometimes I just wonder, do I get the opportunities handed to me as other comedians say, because I'm queer and I'm a diversity hire, or is it because I'm actually good? Are people laughing because they've never seen stuff like that? Or are they laughing because it's genuinely funny? And of course you get the compliments, and it's an amazing high that no other drug can just give you, when like 80 or 100 people even just clap for you and scream for you, and then they see you on the street, they see you in the bars, they want to give you the drinks, the drugs, and you don't drink or do drugs. I wish those people were around when I was alcoholic. Of course it's amazing, but you do realize that you're kind of becoming like the token queer person, and it's fun, but it's very lonely in that.
And unfortunately, some bad things have also happened to Leo.
The first time I got heckled, I was like 6 months into doing stand-up. I was just doing my stuff with the mic and in a small bar where we used to perform all the time. And then this guy just comes and stands in front of me, but facing the crowd. And he's like, this shit is depressing, it's not fun, da 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 da. I had to go off the stage because like the vibe was killed. Now if something like that happened, I would have reacted kind of better because of the experience. And then the other time I was done with my set, and then I take my seat and I was in the front row, and then this comedian goes out and he just starts this like anti-queer hate speech. So just like homophobia just like on my face, and the crowd behind me is just like booing him because they're not okay with it. And of course you can't do shit, so I just had to stand there and smile. And then when he was done, the owner of the bar basically banned him to be there anymore or to do comedy, and the security took him out. The Yerevan stand-up club is like a collective of comedians. They banned him from performing ever again, so the support was there. I didn't feel beaten and alone in that situation. But other than that, nothing negative has happened yet. But of course I imagine, you know, like one day something big is going to happen and it's going to make into a very amazing stand-up special. The fourth one.
Stand-up has also helped Leo through difficult periods of their life. And here I just want to give a trigger warning for depression and thoughts of suicide.
When I started doing stand-up, it was just my therapy, because therapy is fucking expensive. I didn't want to leave, and for the first time I hit a new rock bottom. And I was just like, you know what, like I give up, like I don't want to leave, I don't want to try, I don't want to do anything. Because at that time I was studying to become like an art historian, and I was like, okay, but what the fuck am I going to do with my life? You know, I'm working at this horrible job at the live casino, I am not sleeping well at night, I'm hella fucking depressed. And I was like, this was not my plan, because when I was 3 years old, the first thing that I remembered, I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to perform. And I was like, well fuck, like now I'm 23, 22, and none of what I wanted to achieve has been achieved. And looking back, I'm like, you're just 22, relax. But you know, it's the capitalism, it just pushes you that you have to be successful under 30, like so I was like, I don't want to leave, I don't want to do anything. And I was like, I'm just going to give up, not try, and whatever happens, happens. And the minute I truly just let go of it and let go of my ego and just became one with universe, everything just started to just snowball. You know, I got asked to go watch this open mic, and then I was asked by those people to perform with them, and then I was asked to perform more, I was asked to do this, 8 months after just starting doing like this open mics, the Russians started coming to Armenia because of war, and there was this whole new space of stand-up and whole new opportunities and new spaces started opening up, because Russians love stand-up, turns out. Then I got asked to do my first stand-up special, and when they told me, I was like, what the fuck is that? Because at that I was only doing like maybe 15 or 20 minute set, and I never watched stand-up. I always thought it's cringe. I still think it's cringe. So I was like, what the fuck is a stand-up special? So I just like started watching stand-up specials of women, of course, because I don't relate to like men. So I watched like Joan Rivers' stand-up specials, Hannah Gadsby, I think, just these women and queer people stand-up specials. And I was like, okay, now I know what it is. And I just started writing it. And then, you know, after that, it's just like, it all just, I don't remember what happened or how, it just, everything. And then, you know, I was on stage in Armenia during the first Armenian Vogue Ball, emceeing, just like queer people living for me. I was in Georgia, emceeing Georgians' first Vogue Ball, and then I was in Germany doing like drag related stuff. The minute I was like, just looked to the ceiling of my room, and I just told the universe like, fuck, like I don't want to do this anymore, like I can't fight anymore. And then I guess the universe was just like, don't fucking fight, just let go and just swim. And then everything just happened. But of course there's like a lot to go, like in a bigger scheme of things, I'm just like living in a small country, in a small city, doing my stand-up for like small amount of people.
Let's end the video with Leo's grand hopes for the future.
It was never a question for me in school, even when I was getting bullied. I would always just tell them like, I'm going to be a star. So I know that like it's going to happen. I know that I'm possibly, like in my mind, that's how I'm manifesting it, like I'm going to be the first queer Armenian person to win like Academy Awards for something. Me trying to heal myself through comedy just became me being the voice of queer people in Armenia, which I never intended it to be, and it kind of happened. So, because comedy is like a way of using your voice for the group of people that don't have it, and to just bring out visibility, like, hi, I'm alive, I'm here, I exist. And yeah, it just began after that, and it's still going, I hope. But even if it stops, it's alright. If I never do comedy again, then that's what universe intended me to do. So then that means something new is coming, so I'm not afraid. I don't even think about the future that much.
If you enjoyed watching that video, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video. I really appreciate you showing your love in that way. If you also want to support the channel financially, that's possible via Patreon, but really no pressure. See you next time.